Welcome to your additional lesson over negative exponents. We're going to be needing this in two of our functions and modeling lessons, which are Module 3, Lesson 2, and Module 3, Lesson 3. So here's our rule over negative exponents. Typically, it's not proper form to have negative exponents, whether it's, like in this form or down here in the bottom of your fraction. And so we typically want to turn it positive to, quote, be in proper form. Even though as you get to higher level math classes, this form here is actually very, very useful. But anyways, so if I have an exponent that's negative, so a to the negative n power, to turn this exponent positive, since it's up in the numerator, right, because I can make this as a fraction and put it over 1. But because it's negative in the numerator, I can simply put it down here to the denominator, and that will change my exponent from negative to now positive. It also works the opposite way. If I have a negative exponent in the denominator, to turn this exponent positive, it now goes up into the numerator. And so again, we can put that over 1 to show that. Okay, so if it's negative, go from numerator to denominator or denominator to numerator, just switching is it on top or bottom of the fraction. So for example, if I have 1 over x to the negative 2 power, we can rewrite that as x squared over 1, which is just simply x squared. Okay, exact same thing. If I have 1 over x to the negative 5, that's the same as x to, or 5 to the x power over 1. I went from the bottom of the fraction to now the top. But anything over 1 is just what's on the top. Okay, 3, we're going the opposite direction here. Think of this as a fraction. We can put that over 1. So if it's in the numerator negative, then I can put that in the denominator positive. When you move it, change that sign. It's the whole reason we're moving it. Now, when I move it from the top to the bottom, now I have nothing in the top. We need to put a placeholder, and so that placeholder then will be 1. Okay, same thing here. If this is a fraction, we can put that over 1. So now that needs to go down here to the bottom of the fraction. That 3 stays positive, but now that negative x becomes positive x, and we'll use a 1 as a placeholder for the top of that fraction. Here, 1 over b to the negative 1 power, it's in the bottom of your fraction. So let's move it to the top. And when I move it from bottom to top, it changes that exponent. Now b to the first is just b, and b over 1 is just b. So my answer is b. If we put that over 1 to make it a fraction, we will put it down here in the denominator. The negative 4 changes to a positive 4, and we have nothing in the top, so I need a placeholder of 1. Okay, so hopefully that's very, very easy and straightforward. This is the same thing, but now because we have all numbers, we can work this out a little bit. If I have 2 to the negative 5 power, I put that over 1. I could put that into the denominator, changing that 5 from negative to now positive, and put it over 1, or put 1 on top. Now here, we just kind of stopped, right? That was all we had to do, but now I can evaluate what is 2 to the 5th. So use your calculator. 2 to the 5th gives me 32. So it's the same as 1 over 32. And you can even put this in your calculator to check that. 2 to the negative 5th power will give you a decimal. If we go math right here, change it to a fraction, 1 over 32. So when you have all numbers, you need to evaluate it till you get a number. Okay, same thing here. 1 over 4 to the negative 3rd. That means we can change that from positive to negative by putting it to the top of that fraction. I now have nothing in the bottom, so it's over 1. And what is 4 cubed? That's 64. And you can just put this in exactly the way it looks. 1 over, what am I doing? 4 to the negative third. And that does give you 64. So for module 3, lessons 2 and 3, you need to be familiar with moving these exponents from positive to negative, and even sometimes, or from negative to positive, sometimes even positive to negative, but you need to be comfortable moving that from numerator to denominator.